Christians are called to share their faith. We're called to reach out to other people. And this calling is based on this book. And it comes ultimately from Jesus Christ in the Great Commission. Here's the Great Commission that Jesus gives his followers. He says, "Go into all the world and preach the good news to everyone." And if you're a Christ follower, that's his word for you. That's his expectation for you. But as any of you who've ever tried to do that realize, it can be awfully difficult to reach out and to share your faith. And that was highlighted in the video that we just watched. And if we had time this morning, we could take a survey, and you guys, I'm sure, would be able to come up with several reasons why sharing faith with other people can be such a challenge. But here's what I want you to consider. See, I'm convinced that the number one reason why it's hard for Christians to share their faith is because most Christians are using the wrong approach. Most of us are using the wrong approach. Most Christians, as we learned, base it on a system of reward and punishment. You know, believe in Jesus and your reward is, open the cereal box, forgiveness of sins, and eternity with God in heaven. Don't believe in Jesus and your punishment is, your sentence is, eternity in hell. This church emphasizes another way, and it's a way that's actually held up in the video that you just had an opportunity to see. Instead of seeking first to tell the gospel story, why don't we instead seek to discover the stories that are common to us all? Instead of focusing on what distinguishes a believer from an unbeliever, why don't we look on and at the things that we share as fellow human beings? And what are those things that we share? Well, number one, everyone has spiritual needs. Something we all share. As surely as we have physical needs like food and drink, and we do what we need to meet those physical needs, we have spiritual needs, and we will do what we need to do to meet those needs as well. So number one, everyone has spiritual needs. Number two, everyone has to believe, wants to believe they're here for a purpose, and so we share this search for meaning. Why am I here? Do I have a destiny? Do I have a purpose? And if so, what is my purpose? I love the way that one of the people interviewed in the video said, "We humans are meaning machines." Do you love that? Something else we share. Third, everyone wants to find their story. Everyone wants to find their story. There's a story that's common to all humans, but there's a unique story that's specific to each and every one of us. And speaking personally, I find people's stories fascinating. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why it was so quiet as we were watching fellow Canadians be interviewed in this video. Because people's stories are fascinating. What if instead of seeking first to tell the gospel story, we just expressed a genuine interest in people's stories? Wouldn't that make sharing our faith and reaching out to others a whole lot less intimidating? I think it'd make it a lot more interesting as well. And we learned there that when we reach out to others, we need to start with this basic assumption, which is that God has been working in everyone's life long before we come alongside them. That person that you would want to invite here, that person that you pray will develop a meaningful relationship with Jesus Christ, you need to know that God has been working in his or her life all along. And your role, my role, is just to come alongside that person and seek to discover their story and see what God has been doing all along. And you do that by asking people lots of questions. Ask people what makes them happy. Ask people if they can tell you some of the defining moments in their lives, the touchstone moments in their lives. Ask people who some of the significant people in their lives are and why. What difference did that person make in your life? Every person has a story, and River City, let's make it our aim to discover those stories. Number 4, everyone wants to feel they belong. We all have this basic desire to belong. And human beings do best when they are assured, when they have certainty that they belong to a community. Not just any community, because there are lots of unhealthy communities too, and many of us have been hurt in such instances, but to belong to a community like River City Church, a healthy and whole community where we can give and receive genuine love. And then finally, number 5, everyone shares the desire to make a difference. People don't talk about this much, do they? But I'm convinced to the core of my being that every one of us wants to leave planet Earth a better place than when they arrived. So there you have it, 5 things that are common to us, to our human story. And I'm convinced that healthy churches like this one are the best place for people to actualize those needs, to find those 5 basic needs and stories that we all share met. A healthy church like this one provides people a place to belong. We seek to make a difference in the world and in the community in which we're situated. We feed souls. In just a moment, the band is going to come up, and it will minister to you. It will be nourishment for your spirit. Healthy churches like this help people to discover their life purpose, and we also help people to find their unique story. The reason we showed this video this morning is because it's important. It reminds us of why we exist, why we come together here in this place every week consistently. River City Church is passionately devoted to Jesus' Great Commission, but this is what I want you to leave with. The way that we go about fulfilling that commission is going to be different than what you're going to find in most churches. And so as you head out of here this morning, as you go out into another week, as you interact with fascinating people, in all of your encounters, particularly with people who don't go to church or who maybe had a negative experience, make it your goal to leave them with a positive experience. Make it your goal to learn their story, and then last, leave the results to God. Leave the results to God, because He will honor that. He will bless our efforts as a church to connect with the fascinating people that He's placed in our lives. So let's have the band come forward, and they'll lead us in a closing song, and then go out and let's learn people's stories.